Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, we are interacting with Mr. Maninder Singh Bajwa. He is the founder and CEO of iSquella. iSquella is a holistic learning ecosystem that eliminates learning gaps and focuses on positive societal behavior change. It is an interactive learning platform that enables students to engage with the content and learn. The platform is built to make learners curious, ensuring good attention span, which results in improved learning levels. The learners are provided with a self-learning platform via which they have access to high-end learning experiences. Apart from learners, the platform also offers tools for teachers to help them teach better. So with that, help me welcome Maninder on the show. Hi Maninder, welcome to the Socially Desi Show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine, Maninder. Thank you so much for doing this with the show. And before we even begin today's episode, I would love to know about your professional journey so far and what led you to start iSquella.
I was actually in finishing my software engineering in Melbourne from Monash University, where I always wanted to do something on my own because startup as a word wasn't really in use in 2008 when I finished my degree. And so being from the tech background, it was always, let's do something in technology and all that. And I came back to India. That's when I was, one day traveling through Punjab, and I was in a village, went to a school, and I realized the massive gap and how the learning levels were pretty poor, and it just felt that there was something I could do here. Having a nice sort of a marriage between technology and education. And that's where we sort of started, working on iSquella, and so far it's been 14 years. I guess, yeah.
Okay.
And we've gone through many transformations. We've learned a lot of things. We've had a lot of different, different versions of the product. And today I'm looking back, I'm pretty pleased that we entered the EdTech space, because this is one place where business is one thing, but you actually can see and feel the impact. So that's what motivates us.
True. Yep. And EdTech has actually come a long way in the last 14 years of you envisioning iSquella and bringing it into life. But when it comes to EdTech platforms and other online learning platforms, there's a plethora of products available in the market. So what makes iSquella different from the other offerings?
So from day one, we never, as I said earlier, we didn't. It was never about making something a good to have product, or we never had the top 1% of students, in the economic pyramid, right? In our mind when we thought of creating this, it was always about the bottom of the pyramid, the government schools, the low end private schools, where accessibility is a challenge, the data penetration is a challenge. And imagine 14 years ago, what would be the state? Our first version was on the internet, but again, there was hardly any takers, because that time even a broadband was not that common. Then along the way came tablets, and they suddenly started becoming cheaper. So in 2013 we had our offline product, where it did not need any internet, and it was interactive on a tablet, much like how many of the companies are doing it today. So if you look at all the decision making, it was always about how can we make it more accessible. So it's based and it's built ground up for anyone to use, irrespective of what hardware they have. If we talk about
Mm-hmm.
today, and what economic background they come from, it's not a luxury product. And that's why most of our products are also offered in offline mode. You
Okay.
don't always need the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And we focus very, very heavily on regionalization and localization of content. So we do not believe one size fits all kind of model even in content. So if in Punjab we've worked with Punjab government, created content in Punjabi, the
Mm-hmm.
examples are local, the accent is local, everything
Mm.
is local, so that the students can sort of connect with the
Yep.
content.
Yep.
The easiest thing is to do it in English and just make it available to everybody,
Yeah.
but then again you miss out on all those people that we want to target, right?
True. True.
So the focus is very different. It's not
Hmm.
about 50,000, 80,000, 1 lakh a year, and it's about few hundred rupees, or even free in a lot of cases, where we
Hmm.
sort of collect grants from social organizations and give it to the government for free, like what we did in
Okay.
Punjab.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is different, so it's more sort of social entrepreneurship, where we are a profit making organization, make no mistake about that. We are not an NGO, but we'd like to be sustainable by not charging the end user and creating revenue
Hmm.
models around it. you know
No, interesting that you say that, because in the last couple of years, I believe that the way EdTech has boomed, one of the evils that has really come up with this space also is, parents being overcharged for the kind of information that they are being given the access to, be it in terms of tuition, or be it in terms of any other interactive learning space. And when you say that you want to make it accessible, you want to ensure that this product reaches out to the deeper roots of the country, the Bharat side of India. I wanted to touch base a bit more on this, since you have mentioned Punjab as one of your success regions. Can you share any anecdote, any story with the users today, with the listeners today, about how your product really made a difference to a kid who maybe is from a rural area or from a small town in Punjab?
Yeah, actually, I'll share a very personal story there.
Hmm.
So once we had finished developing for Punjab and it was being implemented, now currently, as there's a varying numbers that we can talk about where the product has reached, from anywhere
Hmm.
between 12,000 to 14,000 schools, right? So I was, now this is 14 years after I traveled to that school. Now I went back to another school. One of my relatives, like, in a village, and there they have a primary school over there, little tiny tots, just studying there in a 3 classroom or a 4 classroom school.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
government school.
Okay.
And I went there. I was speaking to the teachers, and they said that, listen, most of the students who study here are from, or the parents are either laborers, daytime, daily wage workers.
Hmm.
Most of the children are from those families. So I just peeked into a classroom. There was a small TV, right? In sense, I think it is probably 32 inches or something.
Okay.
There were around 20 kids, all probably, like, primary means what? The kindergarten, right? So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
4 years, 5 years old. And there was this akkad bakkad,
Hmm. Hmm.
the
Hmm. Yeah.
rhyme
Yeah. Hmm.
that we used to also, we grew up hearing as well, was playing. And all these children were just swaying left and right, and then big smiles on their face. And
Hmm.
to be honest, it takes, you have to be really, very good at hiding your emotions when
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
that, because it's such an amazing feeling to see that. Listen, I don't know, every morning when we get up, when we come to work, I don't know which part of the state, which class, what is being played, and
Hmm. Hmm.
who is enjoying what you've created. So, I mean, that for me gave a lot of hope, and it sort of gave me a lot of encouragement that we must be doing something right, and it's and there are so many videos we receive from teachers across the state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Before this whole project started, I used to think that maybe the teachers are not putting in enough effort, but trust me, there are so many amazing teachers who want to do so much good job, like such a good job. They are so much involved in the students' educations that you just can't blame them for the state of affairs. Like majority want to do good job,
True. True.
so they've been sending me these videos. We receive those videos. I mean, it is just amazing. If I get an opportunity, I'll share some of the videos with you, and you see the impact. As I said earlier, you see
Yep.
and
Yep.
feel the impact. It's not just talk,
Yep.
which really sort of encourages us to do more. So the with edtech, irrespective of in what form, shape, education technology
Hmm.
doesn't just mean what kind of hardware you have in your hands, what kind of smartphone you have
Hmm.
in your
Hmm.
hands. It's just one element. It's about increasing the accessibility, whether it is through that 32-inch TV, whether it is through a projector, whether it is in the classroom, at home,
Yep.
on your TV, an episode being played. It's having the digital backbone, which sort of allows you to reach deeper.
True.
So it's
True.
it's it's in the right direction, I would say.
True. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got goosebumps by listening to that story. And so, thank you so much for sharing that. And to everyone listening, we'll try to put up a short video on our social media channels that you can see what Maninder was talking about, how the teachers and students are interacting with the product and how are they enjoying their learnings. So, we'll try to put that up. So, keep a check on our social media channels as well. We'll keep you posted on that. But moving ahead, Maninder, you also mentioned this briefly that the education, the penetration of education is still a challenge, especially when it comes to online, because a lot of the remote areas in the country still do not have electricity. Forget about having an internet connection. So, how is iSquilla, addressing these kind of challenges?
See, not having power is something which is like which there's always a limit to what one can do.
Hmm.
This is a solution that the government has to come up with, right?
Yep.
That
Yep.
providing that free, like that providing that 24-hour electricity and all that. But what we can do, as I sort of touched upon earlier, also what we can do is create things that need, like the entry barrier to access them should
Hmm.
be the lowest. That's what we can do. So things like, well, all the, again, coming back to the Punjab example, all the schools in Punjab, the platform given to them, the content given to them, everything is being used offline.
Hmm.
There is
Hmm.
only the need for internet when we share with them extra questions, which they can sort of turn on their hotspot on the phone and then just download those questions. But
Hmm. Hmm.
99% of the product, the base of the bulk of the product can be used offline. So one
Okay.
reliance on data is out, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Secondly, during the pandemic, we got an opportunity to work with Ministry of Education. Earlier it was MHRD, the NCERT, and
Hmm.
on the Prime Minister e-Vidya channels. Now in the last budget, these channels went up from being 12 in number to 200 now, right? But these 12 channels, entire throughout the pandemic lockdowns, we were creating episodes for each subject, for each grade, from grade 1
Okay.
to 12,
Hmm.
which were being broadcasted every day on these channels for the children to sort of view on their TV sets. I
Hmm. Hmm.
understand it's not a two-way interaction, but as I said, it is at least the first step, at least the quality education, at least there's a teaching medium where a child can turn on their TV set. If like we can safely say, if they don't have data, if they don't have smartphones, there is some possibility that some sort of TV set is, like the penetration of TV set
Available.
is
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that increases the access, right? So this was, our country being so huge and with massive population, this undeniably would have been the largest, or the biggest exercise of this manner
Hmm.
conducted
Hmm.
across the globe for during the pandemic, right? So those channels still exist and they are growing, and now each region, each state will start sort of broadcasting those episodes, right? So that's again another step to bridge that. And going forward, like if you look at the trajectory, smartphones are only going to get cheaper. We are in such a encouraging space right now,
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
compared to, as I said, 10 years ago, when we had 10, 14 years ago when we started, there was no hope. I mean, you needed a laptop and an internet to do something.
Yep.
It,
Yep.
it was a time of Blackberries and Nokias and all that, right? So it's gotten much better. The amount of people having Facebook accounts, WhatsApps, that clearly indicates that they have access to something, right? Some
Hmm.
smartphone.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it is getting better, and it's the more better it gets, more accessible you're going to get. But we're going to start with schools, make the content available in schools,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then go to homes. And with the TV sets, we are already in homes. So
True.
mix of all these things, put together.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
electricity and other challenges, infrastructure, lack of teachers, that I think the government also will have to play a part.
True that, true that. But when it comes to having access and with these devices getting cheaper and cheaper, the challenge of having increased digital fatigue in kids has also cropped up in the last couple of years. And there has been a lot of cases of mental health issues and reduced focus amongst kids. How do you see this thing being addressed, not just by an institution like you, but also as a society? How can we address this issue so that we ensure that this digital fatigue amongst kids is getting somewhere or the other addressed and getting reduced?
So I think I will, like you mentioned earlier about how the marketing is being, how the marketing of these products is being done, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
more sort of, oh well, your child will be left behind, or oh well, this is the most important thing that you need. And I do
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
although I'm from the industry, I do not concur with that at all. Now,
Hmm.
anything excess is never healthy, right? So, and I call these platforms as digital tools. They are just tools, right? They're only forming one part of the child's experience, right?
Yep.
So parents, rather than buying the product and then telling the child, okay, now use this, each parent should first look at their child's routine, should look at what experiences he's getting at school, what
Hmm.
experiences they are giving him, what kind of peer-to-peer learning he's doing with his friends, his, her. I have to be gender neutral.
Yep. Yep.
Right? And so after you've looked at all those things, identify what are the gaps and where a digital tool can help you fulfill that gap.
Absolutely.
So it should be like that. It should not be the other way around, that you are doing you're using four products, and thinking, like, as somebody told me, that by the age of 11, your child will be like Elon Musk, start creating apps and all. That is irrelevant. That's not what the future holds for us. It's not, I can create apps, but that's not important. It's about the overall experience and overall learning of the child, right?
Yep. Yep. True.
So,
True.
so that is where I think it should be, in that order.
Hmm. Hmm.
Schools, parents, peer-to-peer learning, identify the gaps, then find out the product that fits and fulfills, and sort of fills up that gap. Then you make the child use it, and it should not be like, for me, I think anything more than half an hour a day is already excess.
Hmm. 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 But do you think that within half an hour, a student can get done with the kind of learning that he or she needs to do online?
See, we are at a crossroad of we are at crossroads, right? Of how we should educate our children. One ideology is how you and me grew up. The way we were taught. So six
Hmm.
subjects, at school we are being taught fractions, at tuition we are being taught decimals, so probably 12
Yep.
topics being touched in the same day. Now that is one way, right? The other way is, if you look how, so we should be talking about when these kids who are in schools today are going to finish school.
Hmm.
What is the world going to look like at that time? So World Economic Forum reports, I think, I don't know the exact number, but it was somewhere about 40, 50%, 60% of jobs that exist today are not going to be existing at that time. So these kids are going to do jobs that are not even there today. So should we still keep teaching them the way we have been teaching them before? So it's not
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
the quantity, number of hours that a child is being exposed to these digital tools. It's about types of different kinds of experiences that the child is getting. Is the child being able
Yep.
to express himself? Is the child being able to, I don't know, publicly speak? Is the child being
Hmm.
able to present well, communicate well? Those things are also extremely important. But instead, if we start looking at, oh, my child knows 23 poems by heart, I think it's irrelevant. Oh,
Yeah.
he's 6 year old and he can do 2-digit addition.
Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
you tell me one 8 year old who didn't know addition? So somebody will learn now, somebody will learn 6 months from now. That is irrelevant, right?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not about how much the child knows. It's about, does he know how to know? If I don't know if that made sense. He should
No,
be
no,
able
it
to
does. It
find his
does.
answers. It should be able.
Yep.
He should be.
Yep.
She should be able to find the answers, not remember them. I mean, that is
Yep.
the thing.
True, true, and it's said these days that even Googling is an art. It's a skill in
Absolutely,
itself. How to
bang
Google,
on.
that's a skill in
Mm.
itself. So yes, I mean, I absolutely agree with your thoughts that education has already come a long way, and it still needs to progress in a direction where students are not just focused on the kind of curriculum that they have been bogged on by institutions, but it has to go in a very progressive manner where they can understand what needs to be done and how it can be done. And in case they are not able to figure out how it can be done, they should actually be able to reach out to avenues and people who can give them a direction and they can find their own solutions. So even I believe in that, and there's a lot of
Just
good
adding.
yeah.
Sorry, just adding to that point. It's a funny thing I keep saying to my friends, that if
Hmm.
my child starts getting 90+% in the current education system, I'm worried. I would rather
Okay.
have him 60%, 65%, but he should be able to. Like he says, I've got a 6 year old son. He should be able to go out
Hmm.
and be able to sow a seed and see the plant grow. I mean, I might be sounding very, oh, this is very idealistic and all that, but trust me, from whatever little experience I've had by being in this space and what is
Hmm.
going to
Hmm.
happen and where the trends are pointing, this is what your child should know, not
True,
how many
true.
poems he remembers. You see?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, this is the age where kids are actually making their own poems, they're making their own stories.
Hmm.
And in fact, all these online platforms, social media platforms are encouraging them to do that. And how you utilize them, I think, as a parent, that is
Yeah.
where our overseeing the whole process needs to come into place. Rather than
True.
pushing them towards a direction, we should just oversee and help them in whatever they are trying to achieve in their own way, in their own life. So
True.
that's a wonderful thought, Maninder, and that brings us to the close of this episode today. But it was amazing interacting with you. And guys, definitely go check out iSquela. We'll put up the links in the show notes below, as well as Maninder's LinkedIn profile, if you want to reach out to Maninder and have a more deep down discussion on how iSquela is working with governments, with other societies and NGOs and other kids across the country, how iSquela is working with them. Do reach out to them. We would love to know that. With that, Maninder, thank you so much for being on the show today. You have been an absolute pleasure to speak with.
Likewise, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Maninder on the show again in the future to talk more about how EdTech is changing India. So, if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.